It's the 11th of August 2020. Welcome to Camnet TV, not just another channel to present the news. My name is Banda Tandiwe. The headlines. Kasama DC Kelly Kashiwa campaigns for PF at the mobile NRC issuance exercise. Bill 10 debate resurface. European Union gives Zambia 58 million kwacha worth of medical supplies. In international news, Russia becomes the first country to approve the COVID-19 vaccine. And in sports, Celtic and Aberdeen's Scottish Premiership games off after COVID breach. Do join me with the details after this break.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444-726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with our news. Government has received medicines and medical supplies worth 2.7 million euros, equivalent to 58 million kwacha, from the European Union. Ambassador of the European Union, Jacek Jankowski, says EU in solidarity with the Zambian government in the fight against COVID-19. And Minister of Health, Dr. Chitalu Chilufya, says government remains resolute in providing universal health coverage, which needs a coalition of partners to actualize. Dr. Chilufya has since advised the medical personnel to guard the medical supplies aimed at saving lives. Let's get the details in this report.
The government, through its cooperating partners, has continued to receive support in the fight against COVID-19. Recently, Health Minister Dr. Chitalu Chilufya made the clarion call to the partners to come on board and help the country alleviate this pandemic. The whole world is on its knees, but help is being exchanged from country to country. The European Union Tuesday morning made a substantial donation of 2.7 million euros worth about 58 billion kwacha of medical supplies and medicines aimed at helping the country fight the COVID-19. Ambassador to the European Union, His Excellency Jacek Jankowski, says EU stands in solidarity with Zambia.
Please be assured that the European Union and its member states stand ready to continue supporting the Zambian government in building a sustainable health system that can efficiently respond to any future health crisis.
And Minister of Health, Dr. Chitalu Chilufya, says the COVID-19 pandemic has brought many challenges, but that government is now more than ever committed to providing universal health coverage.
The Lordship of His Excellency Dr. Edgar Chakolungu remains resolute in its aspiration for universal health coverage. This requires that we continue investing in our health systems in order to ensure resilience. Even in the face of COVID-19, we have the inescapable responsibility to ensure resilience in the provision of health care, in the provision of maternal health services, public health programs such as those targeting HIV/AIDS, malaria, non-communicable diseases. This is the call that His Excellency has been consistently making, that in the face of the health emergency, COVID-19, we have that inescapable imperative to ensure our people access routine health services. A coalition of partners has built to support government's aspiration for resilience for healthcare. This coalition of partners has put resources together to support key fundamentals in our health systems, in particular the supply chain for medicines. Today is a manifestation of such partnership, and we celebrate the partnership with the European Union.
And Secretary to the Treasury, Fred Sonyamba, was also on call, assuring the EU that medical supplies provided will help the Treasury ease its funding towards the fight against the virus.
Supplies which are being donated today will provide timely and much needed assistance towards saving lives and improving the health status of the Zambian people across the country. This support is also going to reduce the burden of the Treasury in terms of funding to the ministry towards COVID-19 related activities. This gesture, Your Excellency, will contribute also by filling in the national gap in terms of the much needed medical supplies and life-saving medicines.
The medical supplies include paracetamol, commonly known as Panadol, and gloves, which will be stored at medical stores for distribution to needy health centers as the country battles the COVID-19. Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News.
Meanwhile, Zambia has recorded 65 new cases of COVID-19 out of 362 tests done in the last 24 hours. Health Minister Chitalu Chilufya explains that the new cases have been recorded in Lusaka, Ndola and Masaiti. Dr. Chilufya tells the country that the cumulative number of COVID-19 cases now stands at 8,275. More details in this report.
Zambia is struggling to fight the coronavirus, but it seems people within the ruling Patriotic Front are frustrating government efforts. Before we give you the statistics of COVID-19 the last 24 hours, as presented by the Ministry of Health, it is cardinal you take a look at this distribution of cooking oil by Chilanga Member of Parliament Maria Langa in her constituency. We could all begin to imagine just how fast COVID-19 has spread in Chilanga area. Back to the Ministry of Health, Zambia has recorded 65 new cases of COVID-19 out of 362 tests done in the last 24 hours, bringing the cumulative number of COVID-19 cases to 8,275, including 241 deaths and 7,004 recoveries.
Women, when you recover from COVID or you are discharged from the facility, you are still to be in touch with the health workers in order for them to manage the sequelae or the complications that arise. Remember that COVID affects your lungs and therefore may cause some scarring or the fibrosis that is going to limit the function of the lungs. As you do this, you may have difficulties in breathing and you may have easy fatigability. Therefore, we need to ensure that we manage this post-COVID. So, Professor Mlenga, thank you very much, and we encourage all of you to ensure that you keep in touch with the health facilities and the health workers even as you get better. This is to ensure that we rehabilitate you continuously in the community. The presidential directive to strengthen the community response anchors on partnership with the community, and today we have the leadership of the Market Association.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Chitalu Chilufya, has advised members of the public not to hesitate to report symptoms to the Ministry of Health. Constance Mwemba reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
The Human Rights Commission has welcomed resolutions made by Cabinet on the 10th of August 2020 to redeploy Zambia police officers in compounds to help in enforcing health guidelines in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. Commission spokesperson Mola Muleya has meanwhile advised the police to avoid using excessive force on citizens in the execution of their duties. Let's get the details.
The Cabinet resolution to deploy police officers in the field to enforce adherence to public health regulations and guidelines on COVID-19 is welcome because it's in line with the Zambia's COVID-19 preparedness and response program which is a multifactorial approach to ensuring that the pandemic does not spread or is controlled. However, we appeal to law enforcement officers to adhere to the standard operation procedures. These are the procedures which were developed early this year, to be specific in June, to provide standardized procedure and practice to all officers during the enforcement of the public health regulations and guidelines. There should be no acts of human rights violations, because that is prohibited. We know that they've got powers to restrict public gatherings, unnecessary movement, to stop or to prevent, trade or vending, and also any other illegal activities that may undermine the fight against the coronavirus. However, our interest is that the rights of individuals must be respected, but also the rights of officers must be respected by the public. The officers will be empowered to take certain actions within the laws, but also that acts of torture are not allowed.
And in other news, Kasama District Commissioner Kelly Kashiwa on Tuesday urged youths who gathered in Kasama to obtain national registration cards, NRSCs, in the ongoing National Mobile Registration exercise to vote for the ruling Patriotic Front, PF, in the 2021 general elections. Mr. Kashiwa, who is supposed to be non-partisan as he is a civil servant, was openly seen flashing the PF symbol to hundreds of youths accompanied by their guardians. Mr. Kashiwa was in the company of Home Affairs Minister Stephen Kampyongo, who was touring some NRC mobile registration centers in Kasama district of Northern Province. And Mr. Kampyongo has called on youth to turn up in numbers and obtain NRCs to enable them to participate in the affairs of the country, such as jobs, elections, amongst other opportunities that come with having an NRC. Government is targeting to issue about 770,000 NRCs in the first phase of the exercise to youths who have attained the age of 16. Let's get the details.
700, 800, 1,000. Omkwai wala mkuisha wonse chondefu amwebe tatulele ko kupela iyo itimu tureba chinjafe twabachinjafe tukaleta na bambi okay so tatulele kayo twakulako nkanyako pye
akanabesa nde kwanyifushe sala akanabesa chitesi kunu mokuyonsa mulaisa ipo bakampyongo tatu abeshi bapono kubeshi bano kubamona tatu bambi na matindi tabakwata tabayishi babonko byati bakampyongo
Sina mukumona aba bantu twamitumina na baediga lungu efe bale mutangata pakutira filamusha kwato tumitwe bamwafirisha mukwato tumi bantu ni mwana papali abakwisha amasukulu abalefo okuingiresha nchito tetuingire nchito kwa bulanshi kwali bana mweba alufya na mwebo tumito twachashani twaonaika mwakwate shuko tumuletere mupepi filamu ya konchendo kutipaye mkwiboma kulia nomba tumuletere mupepi.
The National Pension Scheme Authority, NAPSA, has invested a total of 60 million kwacha into the three fruit processing factories through a short-term loan financing facility to the Industrial Development Corporation, IDC. The Industrial Development Corporation is setting up the Kalene Hills Fruit Company Limited in Mwinilunga District in Northwestern Province, the Eastern Tropical Fruits Company in Eastern Province, and a Cashew Processing Company in Western Province. IDC Investment Manager Brian Nadishua says the factories will be processing local agricultural products ranging from pineapples, mangoes, and guavas, amongst others, for purposes of value addition. The products will include fruit juices, pulp, jam concentrates, tin-packed foods, mineral water, pickles, and dried nuts. Director General Yolad Kachinda says the fruit factories will not only boost the agro industry in the three provinces, but will also contribute to crop diversification, value addition in agri-business, and ultimately food security at regional and national levels. This is according to a video statement issued to Camnet TV by NAPSA Head Corporate Affairs, Kefas Sinyangwe.
These factories will create thousands of direct and indirect jobs through numerous outgrower schemes, and they will give us quality products with a strong brand that will be able to compete favorably at both local and international markets. The factories will stimulate the growth of other auxiliary local industries, further bringing value to the people of the 3 provinces and the country as a whole. The local farmers, through the outgrower schemes, will be the major suppliers of the feedstock to the factories. It is gratifying to note that the farmers have pledged their full support and are looking forward to the projects. NAPSA will leverage the relationship with outgrower schemes through its project unit on the extension of coverage to the informal sector to onboard the farmers and other businesses onto the scheme so that they can also be socially protected. This is in line with our mission of securing the social, economic well-being of the people of Zambia.
You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel with Banda at handy on the main news. We do take our second set of commercials. Do stay with us as we return with more news stories.
I have used Oracle Pure Glycerin for 2 years now. It has really worked for me. It has cleared all the black spots on my face. It has restored my skin beauty. It also smoothens the skin. Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for perfect skin. If it's not Oracle Glycerin, then it's not Pure Glycerin.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customerservice@lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with the news. When everyone thought the debate about the controversial Constitution Amendment Bill number 10 of 2019 had died, the debate has suddenly resurfaced with a group of youths calling themselves Bill 10 advocates, urging retired Catholic Archbishop Telesfo Mpundu talking about the bill. The youths have accused the Archbishop of peddling lies about the bill, which they say is progressive for the nation. Constance Mwemba now reports.
Noted commentaries from ignorant political and religious leaders recently that Bill 10 has died and that it seeks to promote a third-term agenda. Bill 10 is not dead. If it had died, where was it buried and where was the funeral held? Because
a group of youths calling themselves Bill 10 advocates say much falsehoods have been put across regarding the controversial Bill number 10. These youths are believed to have been going around the country sensitizing the general public on the articles contained in the much talked about bill, while the opposition and some opposition sympathizers say the bill is dead and buried. These youths, sponsored by the ruling, have been on the ground educating citizens on the reasons why the bill has to pass. Here is one of the youths who sheds more light on the goodness of this bill.
These lies and malice that have been told and propaganda, which are too numerous to mention, we have found on the ground that have been generated with a spirit of hatred against the bill and government, including anyone advocating for the progression of constitutional reforms. And we want to excitingly report that we managed to clear the air through our tours and presented and edited factual information through the physical interactions we had with the people, while observing provided guidelines around COVID-19, a pandemic that has affected us as well. Further, we reached out to the people through radio programs and the distribution of local language brochures. We held several radio programs in Northwestern, phone-in programs, and I think those were about 6. Kasempa FM, Manyinga, and Solwezi, and Kamangawanga Radio in Solwezi, which is a Catholic Church radio institution. We have also noted commentaries from ignorant political and religious leaders.
These youths, just like the ruling Patriotic Front, say Bill number 10 is a progressive bill with articles that will bring economic progress, especially to the youths and the women. These youths say the bill will be tabled back in Parliament immediately the coronavirus pandemic is over. They went ahead and verbally attacked Bishop Telesfo Mpundu of the Catholic Church because the bishop has been against the controversial bill.
Recently, we have heard remarks from the former Lusaka Bishop, Bishop Telesfo Mpundu. He has made a number of commentaries. He has suggested that the amendment bill is a third-term bill. We should stop calling it Bill 10. And he has also suggested that if the bill goes through, there's going to be disaster, there's going to be chaos, and so on and so forth. And our response to Bishop Telesfo Mpundu is that I think he should be educated on the reason why we are calling it Bill 10. He should desist, our father, should desist from representing our great church, the Catholic Church. I know that there are a number of my colleagues here who go to the Catholic Church, by taking his personal opinion, which is in line with an agenda of regime change. It is actually sad that even he even openly announced through a TV program, or movie TV, a paid-for program, that he is also a politician. We want to say this, members of the press. Our grandfather, we want to advise him that our good bishop should not destroy his good legacy, which he worked for over the years so diligently. He served with dignity, and you remember that he spoke for the voiceless in our country.
Why the Patriotic Front want this bill to pass as soon as possible is something best known to themselves. Constance Mwemba reporting for Camnet TV News, Lusaka.
The National Action for Quality Education in Zambia is disappointed with ZESCO's failure to craft a special electricity tariff for all schools in the country. Organization Executive Director Aaron Chansa says the current social tariff is high, describing it as unfriendly to schools, inimical to provision of education, and unsustainably wrong. Mr. Chansa says it is unfortunate for primary schools to be spending more than 3,000 kwacha per month on electricity with a meager help from government. He adds that the resource-draining electricity situation is more critical among boarding schools, which are spending more than 25,000 per month on the commodity.
As an organization, we are very, very disappointed with ZESCO that up to now, this utility public company has not yet given schools a special tariff. Even after we pleaded last month that schools were not affording this commodity, the social tariff is too expensive, is out of reach for schools, it's inimical to education, and we thought that the Minister of Energy, Honorable Matthew Nkua, was going to prevail over this campaign. But up to now, schools are still struggling. Some schools have run out of this commodity, and the consequences, the academic consequences, will be very severe. And we think that the minister must come to the aid of these schools, hear the cries of schools across the country, and we now give the last appeal to the minister and ZESCO. If this appeal will not be attended to, NACASE will proceed to petition the Republican President, His Excellency Edgar Lungu, to get his attention over this matter. We think that this matter is very important and it deserves the seriousness that it deserves.
And in other news, the civil society Scaling Up Nutrition Alliance is disheartened with reports from Kasama in Northern Province that the District Disaster Management Committee has been keeping relief foods in the warehouses meant for flood victims. CSO SAN and National Coordinators Matthews Muhuru says the move by DDMC will exhibit poverty and hunger levels among the beneficiaries. Last week, Minister in the Office of the Vice President, Olipa Piri, gave the DDMC in Kasama a 7 days ultimatum for failing to distribute relief food to the beneficiaries. In this regard, CSO SAN has welcomed the 7-day ultimatum given to the committee by the minister to complete the distribution of relief food to the affected areas and not keep it in the warehouses. Relief food by nature cannot be stored because it is given for onward distribution for the people in need. Meanwhile, Mr. Muhuru is calling on the minister to extend her visits to other flood-hit areas where food could also be kept in warehouses, leading to further starvation amongst the affected families. Let's get the details.
As the Civil Society Scaling Up Nutrition Alliance, we're disturbed with the information that is coming from the Northern Province and Kasama in particular, where relief food that is meant for the flood-hit victims being stored in warehouses. It's very unfortunate that people need this food the most because their crop fields have been submerged and they don't have any other sources of livelihood. And just to see that the Disaster Management Committee that is tasked to distribute this relief food has just been keeping this food without it reaching the intended beneficiaries. So the chances that cases of malnutrition among those people that are affected by floods and they are hungry and they need this food, malnutrition increasing becomes very high, and also other health effects that would come as a result of not having the needed food become very high. So we also just want to welcome the 7-day ultimatum that has been given by the Vice President's office and the Minister in the Vice President's office to get this relief food to the people. So if the Disaster Management Unit Committee really needed support in terms of transportation, I think these are some of the things that they should have indicated earlier on when this relief food is being given to them. But hunger to the flood-hit areas should be treated as an emergency and something that cannot wait. So we are just hoping that the committee can do the right thing and support the affected people with the relief food that they need the most to avoid cases of deaths and just other cases of malnutrition increasing.
And in other news, the Council of Churches in Zambia has donated 200 by 50 bags of meal to different institutions in Lusaka as part of the COVID-19 emergency response. The donation was part of the COVID-19 emergency response project that is aimed at helping reduce the spread of the infection and promote food security amongst the vulnerable communities. Speaking during the handover of 200 by 25 bags of meal to the United Church of Zambia, Ben Therapy Family Care Project in Solomon Compound in Kafue, CCZ General Secretary Father Emmanuel Chikoya says the donation is part of the wider Christian response to respond to human needs in a practical manner. Father Chikoya says the donations, which were acquired with assistance from Zambians Aid UK, was part of CCZ's initiative to helping vulnerable communities in Zambia. And speaking during the same program, Ben Therapy Family Care Project Coordinator Mr. Frank Mwaba thanked the CCZ for the gesture, adding that it will go a long way in helping provide food to the 52 clients, among whom the mentally and physically challenged. Let's get the details.
With the outbreak of the COVID-19, many sectors of the economy have been disrupted. Zambia being a country that is highly characterized by the informal sector, many families depend on small businesses as their only source of income. Going hungry has become normal of late as most of the businesses have failed to pull through the challenges of the pandemic. The church has taken it up upon themselves to help the poor in society as a mitigation measure to stop the spread of COVID-19 and help feed at least a few vulnerable families that have been affected by the slow income activities. Father Emmanuel Chikoya was at hand to present 200 bags of meal in Kafue.
So we've come to that congregation of the UCZ on an ongoing program of distributing food which was mobilized as a response in a practical sense by the Council of Churches in Zambia in view of the COVID-19 challenges. And so we are here with 20 pockets of Merimim. We had a consignment of 210. So far we've been to Chanama East Prison, we've been to the Matero Aftercare Center for the Aged, we've been to Chimbokaira, Lusaka Central Prison, the Kamara Remand Prison, and also Mandeshi prisons, and then the Mother Teresa Hospice in Tendere, and also the Ritu Assisi.
The recipients of the donation are grateful, adding that this will go a long way in helping the poor.
A long way here because we have 52 clients of pen therapy, physically and mentally challenged clients that we work with. We usually meet every Tuesday from morning. We do have 2 sessions from 8 hours to 10 hours. We do physio therapy with these clients who are physically challenged and mentally challenged. And we do have challenges in terms of feeding, because usually when we meet, we assist them with food at the end of each session. At each session when we conduct the therapy sessions. So with this, it will go a long way. You know, this time of COVID-19 and the situation in the various homes where they come from, it's a very big challenge.
Sharon Kalimbula, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're still watching Camnet TV, not just another channel with Banda Tandiwe on the menus. We do take our last set of commercials and return with our international and sports news. Do not go away.
To create a positive difference in people's lives, one must first understand the way people live. At Savenda, we're here for our community, our partners, and our future, as a nation and as a continent.
Back in 1997, we decided we were going to create this family journey into a bigger opportunity, and created a business called Savenda, which meant save nations to develop Africa.
It's always important to give back to the people. The government cannot do everything, but as business entities, we'll be able to reach a lot of people.
From our humble beginnings in the telecoms and mining sectors to our work in energy and development projects, we know how important it is to be true to our roots.
Our services have to be diversified so that we don't depend on one income stream. Back in the village, I was growing up hunting and doing everything that a village boy would like to do. When you're hunting, you don't depend on one trap, for example. You have to have many traps. So those survival skills brought into the business created opportunities that we learned from a young age that you can't survive with just one product. Savenda Group involves Savenda Management, which is a consulting, Savenda Express, which is a corporate branding company, Savenda Electric, which is a manufacturer of energy-saving bulbs, Savenda General Insurance, which is a general insurance company, Savenda Fresh Produce, Cyber Africa, which is a center for just dealing with cyber security.
Now, Savenda is combining local knowledge with international expertise. It's time to be a part of Zambia's rising success and Africa's exciting future.
We are a gateway into Africa, and now we are praying with global companies who are coming to Zambia for opportunities and to look for companies that are homegrown, and we are proud to be one of those.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. In our international news, Russia has become the first country in the world to approve the coronavirus vaccine. Vladimir Putin has announced amid concerns the process was rushed for political purposes. The Russian president said that one of his daughters had already been vaccinated and is feeling well. The announcement came after less than 2 months of human testing, sparking concerns that the country is putting national prestige before sound science and safety. Scientists say the rush to start using the vaccine before phase 3 trials, which usually last for months and involve thousands of people, could backfire. But President Putin said the vaccine has undergone the necessary tests and has proven efficient and offers a lasting immunity from COVID-19, paving way for the mass vaccination of the Russian population. We now monitor WION News for details in this story.
A huge development has taken place in Russia, which now claims to have become the first country in the world to approve a vaccine against the coronavirus. The first of its kind announcement comes amid international concerns that Russia is rushing approval for political or propaganda purposes in the global race to inoculate the public. While it has cut corners on testing, the Russian vaccine has been developed jointly by Gamaleya Research Institute and the Russian Defense Ministry. Putin's announcement became essentially a claim of victory in the global race for a vaccine, something that the Russian officials have been telegraphing for several weeks. Despite the absence of published information about any late-phase testing, Vladimir Putin has also mentioned that his daughter is among those inoculated. Putin has emphasized that the vaccine underwent the necessary tests. Production of the vaccine is expected to now begin in September, followed by mass vaccination, which is expected in October.
Yes, President Putin says this is an important step for the world. Russia going ahead and registering the first coronavirus vaccine, and that is without completing phase 3 clinical trials. They are the all-important widespread trials. Indeed, a pharmaceutical organization in Russia says that it had been tested on fewer than 100 people by the start of August, perhaps only hundreds of people up until now. And that organisation says that it is less safe and less effective because of that. There have been no placebo or not enough placebo or randomised testing. But even so, Russia is moving ahead. And as you say, President Putin has even tested it on his own daughter, and she seems to be okay. He says that the vaccine gives stable immunity and will help the world and is needed to move up regulatory approval because of these extraordinary times. But look, I think a lot of the world will be raising its eyebrows at the moment, particularly when you think of the likes of India, the UK, many countries who poured in their own millions to find their own vaccine.
If this claim turns out to be true, Russia could be declared the pioneer in the coronavirus vaccine race, as it would become the first country in the world to register the highly anticipated vaccine against the coronavirus. And this announcement comes after less than 2 months of human testing. Russia is hailing this as evidence of its scientific prowess.
Насколько мне известно, сегодня утром впервые в мире зарегистрирована вакцина против новой коронавирусной инфекции. Я в этой связи хочу попросить министра здравоохранения Мурашко Михаила Альбертовича проинформировать нас поподробнее, хотя знаю, что она работает достаточно эффективно, формирует иммунитет устойчивый и, повторяю, прошла все необходимые проверки.
The vaccine has been developed by Moscow's Gamaleya Institute, and Putin has said that the health ministry has given its regulatory approval to bolster people's faith in this potential world-changing development. Russia says that industrial production of the vaccine will start in September. Mass vaccination is expected in October. Gamaleya's vaccine is a so-called viral vector vaccine, which means that it uses another virus to carry the DNA, encoding the necessary immune response into the cells. The Russians have cheekily dubbed the vaccine Sputnik. In October 1957, with a single shot, the then Soviet Union not only launched the first artificial satellite, but also officially inaugurated a space race with the US. The satellite Sputnik's launch had come as a surprise and not a pleasant one to the Americans, as it marked Russia's victory. With the Sputnik vaccine, it appears that Russia once again wants to etch its name in history books as the winner of the.
Meanwhile, coronavirus has broken out again in New Zealand after more than 100 days and prompted the country's government to put its largest city into strict lockdown. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern on Tuesday said 4 people from one family in South Auckland were found to have contracted COVID-19. In response, Auckland on New Zealand's North Island will be placed in level 3 restrictions from midday on Wednesday. Local residents are being told by Ms. Ardern to stay home to stop the spread spread of the disease and act as if they have COVID. Those in Auckland are being urged to work from home and only leave their houses for essential movements, such as going to the supermarket or local park. But Ms. Aden urged against panic buying at supermarkets on Tuesday night. We're now going to our Camnet Sports News. And in our sports news, 3 Scottish football matches have been postponed following breaches of coronavirus lockdown rules by Aberdeen and Celtic players. Celtic's game against St Mirren and Aberdeen's fixture against Hamilton Academical, both due to be played on Wednesday night, will now be rescheduled. And Celtic and Aberdeen's match on Saturday has also been postponed. The action comes after it emerged Celtic defender Boligoli took a secret trip to Spain and failed to self-isolate on his return. The Belgian player later came off the bench in Celtic's Scottish Premiership game against Kilmarnock on Sunday. The Scottish government added Spain to the list of countries where returning travellers had to quarantine for 14 days following a decision that came into force on the 26th of July. The Scottish FA and Scottish Professional Football League said in a statement that while the decision to postpone these games is deeply regrettable, nevertheless, in the circumstances, it is unavoidable. That sports news story brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. Kasama DC Kelly Kashiwa campaigns for PF at mobile NRC issuance exercise. Bill 10 debate resurface. European Union gives Zambia 58 million kwacha worth of medical supplies. In international news, Russia becomes first country to approve COVID-19 vaccine. And in sports, Celtic and Aberdeen's Scottish Premiership games off after COVID breach. Our Camnet word verse of the day is coming from the book of Psalms 19 verse 14, and it reads, "Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer." Remember to keep social distancing, wear a mask, and always sanitize. Thank you so much for catching me on the Camnet Main News. My name is Banda Tandiwe. Thank you so much for watching.